Today we're starting a project that really needs to be done for the safety of our children. And if you're new here, I'm Erica. My husband Mark and I and our 2 kids live fully off-grid in Canada. We try to live a healthy and self-sufficient lifestyle, and that's what we share about in our videos. So I'd love if you'd subscribe, and let's get to the project. On one side of the house, we have a really high deck without a proper railing. And so it's really hard to let the kids play without constant supervision because of the risk of falling, obviously. So we wanted to do this as soon as possible. Last year when we moved in, we had a baby that was crawling. Now we have a toddler that is running. So we really wanted to get this done so all summer they can play a lot more freely. And we didn't want to invest a lot into it since the deck is old and needs replacing. And we aren't ready to do that yet. So in this video, we'll share how we get projects like this done for very little cost, so they still get done, even if we're not in a position to spend a lot of money on it. The first thing is to use what we already have. In this case, we use trees on our land instead of buying overpriced lumber at the store. The forest around our home, it's young and dense. So by using some of these trees, we're not only supplying the material for our project, which costs nothing, but we're also clearing space, and that will help the forest to be healthier. The second thing is, when we can, we borrow tools and supplies. So we didn't have a draw knife, so we borrowed one from a friend. We did end up buying one after this since we plan to do a lot more projects like this using the trees on our land, but we didn't have to complete this project. When we're in need of a tool, most of the time we know someone who has the tools we need, and they are more than willing to lend them to us to help with the project. And we do the same for other people. If there isn't someone in our circle with what we need, then we look at secondhand options, which are always cheaper than buying things new. The third thing is we try to think outside the box. There are always unconventional solutions to problems if you just take some time to think about the options. We've found that the conventional way is often expensive and ugly, really not the best option. There's real value in doing things your own way and also making something with your own hands like this. We could have bought a railing kit, which we wouldn't have been happy with because we would have overpaid. It wouldn't have looked very good, and it's really low quality. Or another conventional way would have been to just buy all the lumber from the store, but that would have cost a lot more as well and not be as satisfying and unique in the end. I want to say as well that we do spend money where we deem it necessary. We acknowledge that sometimes it really makes sense to spend the money. For example, we aren't going to go cheap on our solar system because we don't want constant problems with it. It's how we power our homestead. So with something like that, we aren't going to cut corners and try to DIY everything because we want to make sure that it is done properly, it functions all the time, And another example is we're going to rent equipment to finish preparing the land that we cleared for our fruit orchard. Otherwise, it would take years longer to get those trees in. And we want to get those trees in as soon as possible because they take 5 years or so to actually start producing fruit. So in that case, it really makes sense to just spend the money to get it done quickly. And for this project, we didn't just buy the cheapest possible screws. We decided to purchase screws that would last and look good for years. And because we've saved so much money not buying lumber or not buying a railing kit, it was totally within budget to do that. The fourth thing is more of a mindset, and that is that done is better than perfect. I absolutely love this phrase because so many of us try to make things perfect. And we always want things to look nice, of course, and to be long-lasting, but we don't want to waste time on making things perfect. If you try to make things perfect, you'll never get things done, or it will take way, way longer to do them. And on the homestead, there are so many things that need to get done, and we just can't get caught up in everything being flawless. This railing is a perfect example of that. The rungs aren't the same length. They're not straight. They're not cut square. They're a little splintery, but it does the job. We like how it looks, and Mark got it up in about 8 hours. You've heard me talk about it all the time on this channel, but we really value our health, and this was a mindset shift that really helped for my health too. Just focusing on progress instead of doing things the perfectly healthy way, that made the biggest difference for me. So if you're deep in exhaustion and you don't even know where to start, my free workshop helps you take small, doable steps toward feeling better. No perfection required at all. The link for that is down in the description. As I said, we estimate Mark spent around 8 hours completing this project from start to finish, and we already had the tools necessary and just borrowed the draw knife. We spent less than 100 Canadian dollars on the deck screws and could have easily spent hundreds on this whole project if we'd gone the conventional ways and cared about making it quote unquote perfect. The last step to finish this off is just to sand down these edges, make them nice and smooth and a little bit rounded. We decided not to take the railing all the way to the stairs at the back because time is limited and there's many things to do around the homestead always. And so we decided to just do this area where it's the highest, the greatest risk for injury if a child were to fall. And the other sides where the railing is not yet done, if they fall, they'll get hurt, but it won't seriously injure them. It will definitely get done in the future, just not quite yet. Thanks so much for watching. We make a new video every week about our off-grid life, so I hope you'll subscribe and we'll see you in the next video.